Okay, I'm recording this on, I don't know, August 20th, 2025. Gonna officially kind of try to piece together the story of my awakening, spiritual awakening, whatever awakening to the magic of the world, um, how it's all here for us. But I start with in about this time 2 years ago, I woke up and I had like it was like my whole memory had been erased. Like all of my programming had been reset. Like I didn't know what to do when, or like I was just starting from like a baby's brain in a 50-year-old body. And like just figuring out how to do the normal things was difficult. I don't know, maybe I had a stroke or something, but it was like it, I don't know, there were no physical symptoms. It was just that nothing made sense anymore in my life. Was going through a divorce. Okay. And then this man starts messaging me through Facebook. And because I was going through a divorce, I was like, yeah, just talking to him. And we talked for a couple months, and then like he had a charity for like orphans in Nigeria, which I gave some money to. And I was totally bought on the idea. I mean, uh, I'm again, I was going through a divorce, and my kids had kind of X'd me when I divorced their dad. They kind of basically divorced me. Um, which I guess we all gotta kind of let go of our mother's apron strings at some point or another, or else you just you're not living your own life, you're living theirs. But or you're not living theirs either. But anywho, um, yeah. Then I just kind of like, as soon as I left Austin, which is where my family lived, my ex-husband and my kids and I. It was like I was at sea without a, what's it called, without a manifest, right? I didn't have any idea where I was going or what I was doing, or just kind of like floating around, trying to stay I don't know, safe, I guess, or not safe. I'm not sure which. And this guy was communicating with me telepathically, which was unusual. I hadn't experienced that before. That's why I say magic is real. And there was all kinds of now I can see there was a lot of spell work being done on me, like a lot of sacral and root chakra stuff being done. I didn't realize it at the time. Um, but like your root is your stability, and so my finances were going crazy. I was, it's like I had forgotten how to manage my finances. Um, and people were coming to me asking me for money, and I would just, for the orphans in Nigeria, and I would give it to them, or for this and for that, um, and I would just give the money. And without really any regard for my own well-being is the problem with that. And then like my sex drive was like off the roof. I mean, off the charts, whatever. But in August, I had had a dream. God had told me I was consecrated to Him before I even, like, filed the paperwork for my divorce, which was why, like, it was like I couldn't bring myself to file the paperwork for divorce until I had that dream, and it was like, okay. It was like a permission slip to file for divorce, basically. I knew I needed to file for divorce because like, the vows had been, like, just shattered. They had been violated too many times that I just had to, it was like I could go at any moment. So I did. Finally decided that I was the only one that was, well, to be fair, I was, in my mind, I was not completely faithful. Because I had been trying to figure a way out for a long time. Anywho, it was like I had to see something in the physical world to like, give myself permission to get out. Like, actual acts of violence to be able to get out. Which it shouldn't be that way, but anyway, and then yeah, so now I realize that there was somebody, or they were doing, like, spell work on me to try to, or else it was old traumas coming up trying to be processed, trying to get me to, I guess, be promiscuous or something, which I've been, I don't know why I'm talking about this stuff, because this is not really, anyway, sex is spiritual, I guess, but I was, like, not ready for any of that, so I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm just gonna, like, figure out how to harness this energy for other purposes, right? Because it's creative energy. I didn't have paints and paintbrushes and anywhere to, like, dry my artwork or whatever, so I did end up getting, like, smaller art supplies that I could travel with. It's not paints and paintbrushes, though, which I miss. But I'm so distracted now. Anyway, this guy, he was doing this black magic and trying to get me, and actually my family was embezzling money from me, and I didn't know. I had, like, long before turned a blind eye to the things that my family was doing, because I couldn't change the things that they were doing, and I couldn't condone it, and I didn't feel like I could call the police on them or inform the officials, but they'd been stealing money and unaliving people for a while, and not, like, well, maybe physically too, but through manipulation mostly, and black magic, and under the guise of religion, had been basically harvesting assets, funds, all kinds of things. And I didn't realize that me not saying anything about them doing it meant that I was also, so it was only a matter of time before they started doing that to me, trying to, not trying, they stole a lot of, I had inheritance and properties and all kinds of stuff that they took. They forged my sister adopted my identity, and they forged a bunch of documents, and you know, so when I got divorced, I had nothing to fall back on because all my inheritance had been um, rolled into the family bank. And then when I didn't self-destruct after I got divorced, they had a big problem on their hands. And because I did travel, but I behaved myself. I just traveled. That's all I did. I went to the Grand Canyon. I went to national parks. I I was healing. I was, like looking at all the ways that I had contributed to all the mess that my life had become, and just practicing forgiveness and compassion for myself and everybody else, because I knew that I was just doing the best I could at the time. And I could not believe, I was still delusional that my family was doing this to me, because it was too painful to believe that they were. Like, I don't watch TV because I can't stand to see people doing that kind of thing to one another. Well, all the kinds of things that they do. My family loves to watch these true crime and all those shows. They think it's amazing. They get all kinds of ideas from it. The serial killer shows, my sister especially loves those. It's disgusting to me. But anywho, I just don't think that power over other people is what this life is about. Like, we have an option, a choice to be the light or to be a darkness in people's lives, and I don't know why you would choose to be to not be the light. I can't comprehend it. I mean, I've been through a lot, but I would never wish that on anybody else. So it didn't make sense to me when this guy's been stalking me around the country for 2 years, messing with my finances, messing with my social media accounts, messing with my family, my children, messing with them. Messing with my business. Speaking lies on my name. What else? So many attacks on my health, but all of his black magic, voodoo, garbage, whatever, hoodoo, voodoo, it's all been reversed. So, all the stuff that he tried to inflict on me, he's now been suffering from, and he thinks it's me that did it, but really it's just him. That's how karma works. I don't wish ill on people, but I also am not going to protect you from your own deeds. You made the choice. What you put out into this world is what you get back. And people don't believe that, but all you gotta do is pay attention. It's like a game of cards. Or Game of Thrones, right? So anyway, I was under some illusion of, that if you followed the right path, And actually, I don't think it's an illusion that if you follow the teachings of the various, maybe not all of them, but I know I might be playing the long game by not taking the offensive. But I mean, this game has been many, many, many lifetimes over in play. This is just the final one where I just let him show his hand. And to be honest, I'm grateful because between the things my family did and because I recognized him as soul family when he first started messaging me, but without this past 2 years of doing my pilgrimage / grid work / being homeless, I never would have been far enough out of my comfort zone to have to process all the things that were done to me throughout my childhood and throughout my time in the military and throughout my marriage, to get to the other side and just be like, none of it matters. And none of it matters. None of it was actually about me. The things people do to you is not about you anyway. But, I mean, you can see how and in a way they are, because it's like you allowed that stuff to happen for some reason. You believe that you were deserving of it, or you didn't believe you were deserving of better. And so it's a matter of not learning to not tolerate that kind of garbage, and not recognizing when you're like not living up to your potential, and demanding more from yourself, going into the next level, because otherwise we just get stuck in like a comfort zone, and then we complain that the money's not right, or the people aren't treating me right, or whatever. It's because you're too big for that pool you're swimming in, and you got to go to the next level. And the problem with that is that a lot of times the people around you don't want you to go to the next level, but when like they cling to you, they don't want you to go, because they're attached to the version of you that settles. But the truth is, when you move to the next level, you give them permission to dream, and you give them permission to move to the next level too. It's not that you have to like forever cut it off like communications. It's just that you have to loosen the ties that bind you so that you can grow, because it's just the way people are. They get attached to the version of you that they know, and they don't want you to change, and they find that threatening because they think, because it encourages them to grow, right? But the one constant in life is change. So either you change or the world around you changes. The world around you is going to change regardless. So it's like you're either going to change out of choice, or you're going to change out of necessity. And when you change out of necessity. It's not usually, you're not necessarily leveling up. It seems like you tend to, it's like in a video game, you know? It's like if you don't learn the new skills required, then you don't move to the next level, right? It's like the game throws in new challenges, and you either grow and adapt, and then also, you know, like either you're the navigator of your life, or somebody else is going to chart your course, right? I think that was the thing, is like for so many years I had been on my parents and my ex-husband and my employer and everybody, and then Dwayne, like I was like on their plan. Well, actually, that was the thing, is with Dwayne, I was like, I set my own, I was like, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, and then I don't know what, he got super threatened or whatever by it, and he decided, instead of being like on the same team, he was gonna, or maybe he wasn't ever on the same team and he was just pretending, but he wanted to be on the team to take me down. So he teamed up with my parents and my sister, and they did their best. I will give them that. They did their best. They had me chasing my tail for about 2 years, and then I just said, you know what, enough. Show up or shut up. And so far they hadn't shown up, so. But over the past 2 years, the only people who have, you know, like, have shown up for me has been like the U.S. government. And I feel like to some degree they owe it to me, because for the time I was in the Navy and the things that were done to me when I was in the Navy, when I was under their care and under their medical care too, they owe me a lot. They owe me a lot more than they could probably ever give me. But maybe that's everybody that's been in the military. I'm trying to remember if there were ever any women in the command groups at any of the squadrons I was in. And I don't remember there being any. I don't remember that there were any. Other than in boot camp. Interesting. But anyway, now I'm manifesting. I'm writing a manifest for the rest. And I'm gonna go do some grid work, more grid work, activating. Because it's funny, I'll go get a cup of coffee or whatever, and then women will just come in, they'll sit, like, the place has been empty. It's empty every time I walk by it, but I go and sit in there and have my lunch, and then one woman will come and sit at the table next to me, another woman will come and sit at that, and it's like they're getting their energetic upgrades, you know. So anyway, that's what I'm gonna go do. because I don't know where he's been posting about it or where they've been posting about it. This whole attack they've had on me for the past 2 years. I mean, to be fair, it's been longer than that, but I just didn't really. I've been, like I was attacked the whole time when I was a child, so I was like that was like their pastime, like see if we can make Lisa cry or, hide under her bed or whatever it was. So, to be fair, I was kind of like desensitized a little bit. Not really desensitized. I don't think I can be totally desensitized, but from working in the hospital, it was like constantly, with the electromagnetic stuff, all the MRIs and the fluorescent lights and the computers and the Wi-Fi signals and all that stuff was kind of and in the military too, working on the flight line and the flight deck, there's a lot of like electromagnetic type attack sort of on my nervous system, or challenges we'll call it, not necessarily attack, but anyway, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And so it built a very resilient nervous system. And then with breathwork practices and yoga and exercise and I guess all the mindset work and NLP stuff that I've learning how to create instead of respond. I think I've been out of reaction mode for a while now. I was in response mode, and now I'm just shifting into creation mode. So anyway, gonna do more grid work, travel, because I do work with trees and plants, and they're part of the earth, and people, animals too. I've been working with animals actually probably like consciously working with animals the longest, because I started working with shelter animals back before I made it into pharmacy school. I would go and and it's funny now that I say it, there was the dogs that used to hide under their kennels, and I would coax them out, and I would like sort of I guess integrate them into like the regular population, of animals. And I actually like all 4 of my dogs were very, very traumatized and fearful when I got them, or when I first met them anyway. Usually by the time I adopted them, they had like a big shift in their energy and had learned to trust at least me. And then I knew that like we could expand that circle of influence, right? We could, and so that's they kind of taught me how to do it. We taught each other. And then I did that with people too, to some degree, because people have more programming, and you can't override their free will. The animals are kind of like, they've already decided that you're in charge, right? But with people, we don't really want to do that so much. Maybe for and I think that's what's held me back on my coaching business. It's like, I don't want people to sign over their free will to me indefinitely. But I think that's why to have like a 3-month or a 6-month container where they borrow your belief. It's more like training wheels than like a dependency, because I think that's what I've been not wanting to establish, some kind of codependency. So I've been like resisting the coaching business because because the thing is like all the codependent relationships, my family, Dwayne, my ex-husband, my kids. Not so much my kids, because my whole thing with my kids was that I wanted, because of the struggles that I had, like taking my power back from my mother, the whole plan with my children from the start was to raise them to be able to make their own decisions and listen to their own guidance from God and navigate their own ship. And like, listen to what the peanut gallery has to say, but don't necessarily let it influence, like, maybe it's good, but if it's not any good, you already know what you're here to do. So you need to do that and not depend on somebody else to tell you how to do it or what to do or whatever, You can listen, but like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm not that good at taking input from other people, but a lot of times it's like I have trouble communicating what it is that I'm here to do. And so people will want to say, hey, well, you should do this. You should be a divorce coach. And I'm like, I'm not really, I would have preferred not to get divorced, So, but I guess, that's not, I think you get into it not necessarily on purpose, But I don't think divorce is bad because I think if you're growing and people don't always grow at the same rate. And it doesn't mean that you can't grow back together, but sometimes it's like you have to like cut off the relationship and start like a fresh one, And that's kind of what I had hoped would happen with my ex-husband to some degree. But I'm not willing to settle for no dates and all the I don't know. The yelling at and blaming me for, like, when I say, like, I said, what was it? Just this week I said, oh, I just realized that I worked in a room all by myself for 3 years before I went on this 2-year solo, like, pilgrimage. So it's like 5 years of being, like, in near isolation. And he hung up the phone. And I was like, and then he texts me back and says something about me blaming him. I was like, I was just an observation. I didn't say it was anybody's fault, Well, I don't know who orchestrated it other than, something outside of or maybe it was me. Because it was required to get, everything that has happened up until this point was required to get to this point. And I can't say I'm not grateful to be where I am today, because it's way better than where I was even 2 weeks ago. So, and I'm going to keep pushing. Keep moving, because this is not my he used to say, when are you going to be finished with this personal growth thing? I was like, oh, not for a long time yet. I hadn't gotten where I had this vision when I was a kid that God put in my head, in my heart, really. And it's like, I just can't, I don't know. I just know I'm here to do more than press buttons on a keyboard. I need to go move my stuff, I think. I'll talk to y'all later.